There's a new me coming out, and I just have to live, and I wanna give. I'm completely positive. I think this time around I am gonna do it like you never knew it. Oh, I'll make it through. The time has come for me to break out of the shell. I have to shout that I am coming out.
Welcome to the show Never Too Late Ever, where we focus on making the next chapter of your life the very best chapter ever. I am your host, Lorraine Hoving from It's About Time, and I am so glad you are joining us today. This day may change your life. Open your heart, your ears, and listen, and you will find a gem, a treasure that you can apply to your life today. Well, today I am so excited, and I am excited because this is going to be something a little different. So first of all, I want to say hi, Stephanie. How are you?
Hi, Lorraine. Oh, I'm super excited.
So Stephanie Staples was our guest. She was our guest in number 121, the show number 121 and number 122. And if you listen to those, you will remember Stephanie. She is an author, a speaker. She even has accomplished a triathlon. So she's amazing. So she came up with this idea and she said, Lorraine, why don't we turn the tables and I interview you? And I thought, oh, that's, I haven't done that on my radio show. That's a great idea. Then she asked me if there were any questions that she could ask me or that I wanted to avoid. Well, the only thing I want to avoid is politics.
Hooray, thank goodness. I was so happy when I read that.
As the rest of the world out there, I know you want to avoid politics. So anyways, so I gave her free rein. And so this morning I was going, oh my gosh, that's could be a little intimidating. But then I decided this is the truth. I am an open book because I want to help you, the listener. And if there's anything to do with my story that can help you, I am more than grateful. I am thankful because sometimes it's just that one little thing you might hear on a radio show or one thing that you maybe heard when Stephanie was speaking, the number 4, if you go back and listen. It might be just that one little gem that you take, and you take that gem and you go along your journey and it improves and betters your life. And so if there's anything, and so I said, hands off, she can talk to me about anything. So
goody. I'm rubbing my hands together. So
I can just visualize it. Oh,
yeah, I got the evil look going on and everything. So first of all, Lorraine, I want to say thank you because it takes a semblance of courage, for sure, to have the tables flipped on you like this. When you are orchestrating your radio show, you are in pretty much control of where that interview goes and such. And when you're on the opposite end, you are kind of being led. I kind of think it's like a dance, right? Like, you know, one person leads, one person's followed. Usually you get to be the leader and it gets to go where you want. But what I was impressed with is almost immediately you were like, oh, that's different, but yeah, let's do it. You didn't even hesitate. You were just open to just turning over your show to somebody else that you don't even know that well. And what I see is like you were really able to kind of give up control over that little piece. So I'm just wondering, one, why do you think I wanted to turn the tables on you? Why did you say yes to this right away? And what's the correlation between giving up control? How does that play out in your world?
Okay, so the first question, I was trying to write them down. Why did I want to do this? Or did I say yes right away?
Yes. What made you say yes right away?
You know why I said yes right away? Because I like to respond quickly to the flow in my life, and I figured it was an opportunity that I didn't come up with. I didn't even think of it, and you came up with it, and it just resonated in my soul, because I have been interviewed on podcasts and I've enjoyed that. And so that's what it was. It resonated with who I am, because I love to share my story in order to help somebody else.
Nice. And I like how you said about responding quickly. So has that kind of been a piece for you in your world, like just not, like reacting?
Right. I have learned as I've gotten older, because I sometimes can have resistance. Somebody will call me up and say, you want to do this? And I'll have an immediate resistance. And in the last, 5 or 6 years, I've tried to switch that over, instead of resistance, listening and then following my heart and responding quickly if it resonates. Because sometimes we get uncomfortable after, like this morning I had just a tiny couple little butterflies.
What did I do?
But at the same time, I am trying to teach my audience out there that when we get out of our comfort zone, that's where the joy, the peace, the fulfillment comes. And so in order to teach them, I need to also be an example. So I just responded, and I also did a course where I talked how sometimes I've resisted. And when you resist, sometimes you miss out on the best opportunities. And so that's why I responded quickly.
I like that. Okay, now the giving up control piece, because that's, this is your show, this is your baby. Is this easy for you to do? Does giving up control like flow out to other areas of your life? Has it?
That's a good question. Giving up control of this radio show, I feel like when I'm giving it over to others too, in some ways, I'm controlling the narrative, but it didn't feel like giving up control as much as going with the flow and what I felt like was good for the purpose, again, of my audience, because they're listening, and it's about them, and it's not about me in control. It's about you and I together passing on that little gem to the audience. And so it's not about control, although I've had control issues, of course, in my marriage, but that's a different story. But the radio, not so much, because it's all about the audience out there.
Right. And maybe that's an interesting parallel to life too, because I sense that you have that that servant's heart, right? That you're trying to always help and serve and assist and aid, and often to do that, we have to put ourselves in a bit of a place of vulnerability to be able to do that.
Right. And sometimes I box myself in that piece of being vulnerable, just so I can stretch myself. Because if we resist and we don't stretch ourselves, we never become. And so that piece, I do it, yes, a lot for the audience, because I know I have a story to tell that will change somebody's life. You have a story to tell that will change somebody's life. We all do, and that's what it's about. And when you focus on yourself, that's when you resist. But when you focus on other people, then you stretch, even if you have a little fear and intimidation.
I have a visual of a giant elastic in front of me with that resistance, that pull, and then you keep getting bigger, and I think that's a good visual.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So when we look at, we hear your voice, when we look at your website, when we read, about you, I mean, you're positively glowing, you're shining, you've got this joyful demeanor. Is this who you always were, or is this who you have created? What were you doing at, between 7 and 9 years old? What were you like then?
my mom always said she brought 7 children home from the hospital, and I was different than the rest because I laughed a lot. So I've always laughed a lot. And that's one thing that attracted me to you, Stephanie, is because you laugh a lot.
I do.
And so as a child, yes. And then my story changed when I had the sudden death of my dad at 11, and I adored him. So that's when I feel, if people out there have listened to my story in the last week, I think I shared it online, and that's where I believe I lost the little girl. So sometimes I encourage people to go back in their photos and look at their photos when they were young and maybe hadn't even gone to school or whatever, and see their countenance. Are they happy? What are they doing? And all my photos are me just laughing and cracking up, or outside with animals, or going on this, or playing on the swings. And that was the little girl. But I felt like when life hit me hard when I was 11 and didn't know how to work through those issues, and then my brother, my loving brother, except he was loving, but he verbally abused me, and I took that on as truth. I believe that's when I lost the little girl, but then she came back. So yes, I've always believed that I would, even when times were hard and I almost hated myself, I still somewhere in there believed in myself and loved myself and was still that happy person, but it was buried with layers. And I think of them as layers of the fat that covered up the little girl in there. And when I began to take those layers off, I found her again. It almost makes me tear up. Then I found her again. She was there all the time. She was just buried.
Well, and so if people don't know, you lost basically a small person, right? 120 pounds, if that's correct. Which is, I mean, I think it's for most of us, it's pretty impossible to even imagine such a huge accomplishment. I can't help but wonder, I think about, I'm comparing you to Oprah, of all the miraculous things she's done, everybody always goes back to kind of, losing the weight is like, oh, well, that's like the biggest thing she's done out of all the miraculous things she's done over her lifetime. So for you, I don't know, does that define you, that miraculous accomplishment that you made? Is that kind of where everything stems from? I'm wondering, it's not who you are, it's who you were, or is who you wanted to be, or talk a little bit about that.
Okay, I wouldn't call it who I am, but my story is a part of who I am. So the weight, I will not hide that I was 120 pounds overweight, or 130 or 40 by the time I lose the rest of this. But I do have to be truthful to the audience out there. I did have a little hard time with the COVID. I did really good at first, and then I thought, oh, this is taking longer than I figured. And nobody sees, you know what I mean? So I gained a little bit of that, but probably by the time I lose all my weight, it'll be about 140, 150 pounds. But that doesn't define who I am, but is it part of me? And am I ashamed of that? No, I'm not ashamed of it, because I'm using that story to help other people. But it is only a part of me. The other parts of me are the happy-go-lucky, the keeping a marriage solid after 45 years.
I really want to talk about that one.
Yeah. So it's part of me, but it's not who I am. I think who I am is the little girl that came back.
Oh, well, and so this didn't happen. So now we've talked about kind of, young Lorraine and more mature Lorraine. So, going through the middle there, who were you then, in your 20s, in your 30s? How did you show up in the world?
Okay, so that was when I was most overweight. So I was at my highest. I was 275 pounds. How I showed up, I was still I still somewhere in there liked myself, but then there were the days when I literally, and this is what I want to reach out to those people out there that